What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Human Proof Designs broadcast. Today, we're going to talk all about link building to affiliate sites and more. I know that there are people here that are running not just affiliate sites, but I know a lot of you are. So that's probably going to be the focus of the majority of our conversation. And today, we're going to be talking to Stewart Dunlop of linkbuilder.io. Stewart, welcome.
Hey, Kelvin, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're based, and what linkbuilder.io is all about?
Cool. So, yeah, I'm based in Edinburgh, Scotland. We're a link building company. So, linkbuilder.io, we service clients all around the world, all kinds of industries and niches, from like CRM clients, e-commerce platforms, tons of different businesses and websites, law firms, and we focus primarily on link building. So we have like a virtual team, a virtual setup, a link builder. So everyone is location independent. We have people from all around the world, like the UK, Europe, US, Asia. So we're kind of based all around. And yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell what we're about and what we do.
Very cool. Well, I'll give a little bit of a background on how we hooked up because I think it's a pretty interesting story. So Stewart, someone from Stewart's company actually reached out to us about a broken link on HPD. And interestingly enough, this broken link was to a broken link article. So let that sink in for you guys. So yeah, he reached out to us about for a broken link campaign about a broken link article that had a broken link to it. So when somebody reaches out to us about that, and it's quite a quite a meta experience, we're gonna give them the link, right? So ever since then, it had stuck in my mind. And we had asked our audience in the Facebook group Niche Site Entrepreneurs who what kind of topics are interesting for people, and we hadn't really had a link building person on the podcast before. So naturally, the first thing that went to my mind was getting Stewart on the podcast here. Stewart, why don't we go a little bit into the background of for how you got started in this? Because obviously you don't really get started as linkbuilder.io for randomly. You obviously there's obviously a background to your story. So why don't you fill us in on what you've been up to for the past 10 years, I think.
Yeah. So I've been working online since pretty much since 2010. So I was at university in Edinburgh, but I actually dropped out. I think it was in 2010. So I was at a company originally, like I knew from a friend of mine I got involved with, that kind of built and acquired successful affiliate websites in online poker, which is like a kind of a super competitive space. I didn't know anything about like SEO or the affiliate industry before that. So like I just kind of dived in. And what he did originally was he didn't even have a website. So he was literally just sign people up to online poker deals through like forums and like word of mouth. But it was like a really lucrative industry. Like the commissions you can make with online poker, I don't think it's the same nowadays. But you could make like thousands of dollars a month for like one sign up, which is just crazy. So kind of going from that, we built up websites, built communities, created content to teach people like how to play online poker. So through that process, I learned how to create good content, how to do SEO, how to attract like organic traffic to your website, and then link building just kind of came naturally down the road from that. So was actually with that company for like 5 or 6 years. So I learned a ton of skills, like a lot of the content and SEO side of things, but also like the commercial side of things, and like learning how affiliate marketing worked, how you could earn commissions, how you could negotiate with people to get better commissions, all that kind of thing. And then the way that I got into link building is so because we had like a network of some really, really highly trafficked online gaming sites, mostly poker. tons of companies and bloggers really would reach out to us. They'd be like, "Oh, can we get a backlink?" And I would just see this trend, and it became more and more of a thing. I think as link building just kind of like grew over time. So I was like, I don't think these guys are doing like a very good job of negotiating with us, or the way that they approach us. There was very, very few people who came to us and wanted like a natural link. So that's like, when you establish a communication with someone, try and build a relationship and get a link that way. They all just wanted to pay money, which in fact is kind of fair in that particular industry, because as I've now learned, like online gambling, pretty much everyone just accepts that they have to pay for links. But that kind of, I guess, like ignited an idea about link building that I'd kind of later act upon. So then in 2016, I probably I left that company eventually, sold my shares, parted ways. And then I had a few months to figure out what I wanted to do next. I didn't have any desire to stay in like the online poker or gambling industry. Like I'd been there for 5 or 6 years. I felt like I had skills to go and do something else. So I was interested in link building and SEO. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this. So I managed to somehow, I don't even really know how, get a freelance job with quite a big US company. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do link building and outreach for you guys. So I did that for a while, kind of learned the tons and tons of studying and research of like how to build links, what the latest techniques were. And I put them into practice with this agency. And I did that. I eventually got like another client. And then, when things seemed to go really well, I got a few more clients, realized the link building was like seriously in demand. So then I set up an agency to kind of service other clients. So we do only link building, pretty much only link building for our clients. We're linkbuilder.io, so the proof is in the name. But yeah, most of our clients are online businesses. We have like law firms, charities, gaming clients. So we do all sorts. My brother came on board in 2017. He had absolutely no background in SEO whatsoever, but he's learned like loads really quickly, and we've put together like an amazing team as well. So like we work really hard and like keeping a good harmony in our team. I've had experiences in the past where there's not such a great harmony, but we encourage all of our team members to kind of like learn. We have like a really positive energy. Everyone loves link building. I think, well, at least I think they do. We encourage like new strategies, creative ways of building links. So hopefully that separates us from other SEO agencies who also do link building, because we purely focus on that. And also in the meantime, since we've been kind of growing this link building agency, we've actually kind of built and or acquired 6 or 7, I think, affiliate websites of our own during that time, because the way we looked at it was, okay, well, we're a link building agency, we service clients, but wouldn't it be really cool if we actually built up our own affiliate websites in parallel to that? For a couple of reasons. Like, well, one, it's just fun. It's a cool thing to do. We've got the skills to build links, so why wouldn't we do it? Another, I think our clients probably respect the fact that we have our own websites. Like we've gone out there, we've made our own successful websites. We've shown that they work. So our clients are like, well, okay, these guys are legitimate. And then lastly, it kind of gives us a really cool platform to test, test link building strategies and theories out, which is one of the most interesting parts as well. Like, we own the site, so we can do whatever the heck we want. So we do test a lot of cool link building strategies out on our own properties as well.
When you show those clients, do you show the clients the actual sites, the affiliate sites that you work on?
I do. Like, I don't say like, oh, by the way, like, I'm amazing, here's like my sites, but I'll just be like, we actually like built these sites and here's some cool strategies we did. Maybe I can take the idea that we did on this site of our own and we can place it on, we can do something similar on your site. So I kind of word it that way. I'm not like, yeah.
I was just wondering whether or not they get excited when they see that, like, oh, some lawyer is looking at it thinking, wow, you mean I can just build a site that generates income like that, and you guys are doing that?
Yeah, maybe it doesn't work quite that way. I mean, most of our clients, I'd say the vast majority are like pretty established online businesses. They've got experience with hiring SEO agencies. Um, they already usually have some pretty good traffic, so they're savvy, which is like our ideal client anyway. I don't want to do like SEO agency work for clients who don't know SEO, because then you have to educate them, which is a whole new thing. Um, so yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Earlier, you also mentioned that you've learned, at least now, that certain niches require, it's just traditional, and we'll call it standard, that certain niches require payment for links. Off the top of your head, could you share what those niches are, just so people know when they're getting into this kind of stuff? Oh, looks like
Oh,
we're good.
oh, hey, yeah. I think I lost you for just like 2 seconds, Calvin.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So
Anyway, so yeah, like casino, probably pharma, payday loans, obviously anything to do with like sex, which I'm not involved in. But so there's the adult industry and adult entertainment. Probably just some of the obvious ones, and then you've got like less obvious ones like financial products, where it's maybe like more of a split. But I would say that those are more difficult. And then you do have some funny ones. Like I've seen a lot of studies. We've not had many travel clients, but apparently travel is like a expensive industry for link building as well. So I'd say those are the main ones.
interesting, interesting.
Mhm.
So what kind of link building strategies can you share with the audience today that are maybe we can think of things, if we can think of them like as basic and
Yeah.
medium to expert, let's say.
Right. Yeah. So for basic strategies, especially for like affiliate site owners, I mean, like guest posting is kind of like a really bread and butter strategy. I'm sure if anyone here is aware of link building, they've probably heard of guest posting, where you're reaching out to websites and you're trying to submit an article or piece of content on their website. I think that when you're doing guest posting, most people I see who just start trying it, they don't do it very well. They don't get the basics right when it comes to even just small things like the templates that you use when you're approaching someone. Guest posting is like, at the end of the day, it's really just like psychology. Like if I reach out to you and ask you to and ask to submit an article on your site, you're going to look at it like one of two ways. Like, no, this guy just wants a link on my site, or this guy actually knows his stuff. He's clearly like an authority. Like, he knows what he's talking about in his relevant industry or niche. So when you're doing guest posting, I would say get the basics right when it comes to your outreach approach. A lot of people, especially some affiliate website owners, I've seen this before, they'll go to a site like Upwork or People Per Hour. They'll try and hire someone to do link building or guest posting, and usually the quality of the outreach isn't very good. They will, make grammar mistakes in their outreach. They pretty much don't stand a chance of getting what I call like a free guest post published, because that requires someone to look at you and say, this guy's sent me a really like good professional well-written email. I can Google this person's name. I can see they're like a real person. So getting all those basics right when you're doing link building is really important. Like, although we do guest posting for some big companies who have the social proof and will like use a persona from that company, you can do it with affiliate sites as well. Like, we do it all the time with our own affiliate sites. We develop our own personas. A clever thing you can do if you've got a little bit of a budget and you want to start out with guest posting, this is something I'd recommend for affiliate website owners. Go and pay for like a few guest posts on like good sites. So launch outreach campaigns. You'll inevitably, if you do an outreach campaign for guest posts, you'll inevitably have people who come back to you and say, okay, like pay me $50 and I'll publish your guest post. Well, that's okay. You can do that for the first few few times, because it allows you to build up a little bank of articles. When people then Google your name, or if you send them the link, they'll see that you've now got this quality guest post contributed at a site. So they'll assume that other people are accepting this guy's content. I see the content; it's actually pretty good. So make sure you invest in good content when you're sending that out. And they'll say, well, okay, I can trust this person. They're putting out good content on these other websites, so they'll put good content on my website. So that's just a way to get a leg up if you start guest posting. Other strategies that you would then get into. So guest posting is fantastic for affiliate website owners who want to build links to their commercial or money pages. And the same applies for like e-commerce website owners to build links to their product pages. But then beyond that, you're going to want to build more links to your website overall to build authority. So you're going to start wanting to look at other outreach techniques, like what we kind of call like content-based outreach. So it's when you create an amazing piece of content and you reach out to people to get them to link back to it. So that's probably like phase 2. After you get the guest posting side of things nailed down, I look into a strategy like that. The benefits of a strategy like that is you can build a much higher volume of links in general. It's also fun because you just get to focus on creating really cool non-commercial content. That's a really key part of that, because for that kind of outreach, it can't be commercial at all in nature, because people are just so savvy, they won't link to you. So those are kind of 2 basic strategies that I'd use if I was just kind of starting out.
So what I'm kind of hearing a little bit of is the fact that you need to have a little bit of social proof in your emails when you're reaching out. That's what you've seen success kind of start rolling over into those yeses. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Like even just the small things on your Gmail account, put like a profile picture on it. In your signature, you can put an image like picture on it, like stuff like. If anyone's watching this and they own affiliate websites, they'll 100% have had emails from people looking for links. Like 19 times out of 20, those people are going to have no social proof. They won't have any picture on their profile. They won't have like a proper signature, none of that. And that's just like, but whenever I see emails like that, it's a red flag. I just ignore them straight away. So that's going to separate you from like 90% of people that are trying this straight off the bat. Just getting those little details right. Like the social proof factor. If someone Googles your name, if you contribute a guest post already on a few sites, they're probably going to find you if they just browse the first page of Google. Set up like a LinkedIn profile, a Twitter profile. If you're the website owner, you put yourself on the about page. Unless there's a good reason you don't want to, or at least find someone, like a writer that you've employed that you can put on the about page and ask them for permission if you can use their alias as an outreach kind of persona. Social proof is huge. Yeah.
Are you paying attention to kind of like, we'll call it like incoming link ratios and distributions and stuff like that? Are you carefully curating links that go to your homepage, to information pages and stuff like that? Like how does your system work when you're about to approach a site? And let's just maybe say it's a site with almost no links.
Yeah, so site with almost no links. So that's a really good question, and it's it's one that people like debate over and over. So just to give an example, we launched a cryptocurrency blog in March of last year. So a completely new site, like completely fresh. So we had to talk about that question. It's like, how do we structure this? How do we build links to money pages versus informational pages? For a completely new site, we want to build as many homepage links as we can initially. So when you're doing a completely new site, you can actually use things like directory links and citation links to build homepage-based links. You can do guest posts, and when you're doing the guest post, just literally just link to your homepage. You can also use there's a fantastic tool called Help a Reporter and SourceBottle and Journal Requests. These are all services which have experts that are asking for opinions on certain topics, and it can be literally any topic. Like you'll have requests about like snowboarding or cycling or whatever it is, finance, protein, working out. Those are all good ways to build homepage links. After that, so we actually didn't build any really any money page links until after, I'd say, the first 6 months. After we got a decent number of homepage links in there, we obviously set up like social profiles, all those kind of social links, which are good for like the foundation of a website. After that, we were like, okay, well, we're going to build some cool content articles, and we're going to get just links into our content pieces. That allowed us to just build a higher volume of links at the start of the website, versus really going in and building tons of like little targeted links to the money pages. So that's the approach we took. Other people will at the beginning, the outset, just go and start firing links at their commercial pages. We did it the other way around, and then after maybe 6 or 8 months, we could see how Google was reacting, where they were naturally placing the commercial pages without any links, and then we could see, okay, well, like this commercial page is position 10 or 11 for our target keyword. We haven't even built any outbound links to it. We've done internal linking, but we haven't built any outbound links. So now let's go and throw, over the next month, let's go and build like 3 or 4 commercial links to this commercial page, and let's see how Google reacts to that. So that's kind of the approach we've taken it. We're still always doing the content-based outreach to build the authority of the website overall, because we want that to keep growing. And we have noticed that commercial pages are naturally just going up and up, even without any links being actively built to them. But you will always see commercial pages that they need a few links just to get them moving. So that's something we keep an eye on, and we just track, like, okay, well, this is position 5. We built a few links to it. Let's build a few more, and then it'll go up to position 2 or 3, or 3 or 2. So it's not like an exact science, but you just have to really be aware of what your key rankings are over time, and how your pages are reacting to links. Okay. But that's assuming you've got all the on-page like perfectly and accurate as well. But before you start building links, that's an important point to make.
So you mentioned that you build these these citation links realistically, which is used for local SEO, which is still very appropriate for almost any website. Doesn't have to be just for an affiliate website, or just for local sites, sorry. But how many links, like if you're to say like a hard number, let's say like how many links would you get to the homepage before you kind of stopped and started thinking about other parts of the other links to other pieces of content?
I'd probably do approximately. So if you use, there's really good services. Like there's one called, a friend of mine who owns it actually, citationsbuilder.com. And I think if you do a basic package with those guys, it'll maybe be something like, you maybe get between 20 and 30 links. A lot of them will be no followed, maybe like half of them. You'll get some followed links in there. I would use something like that initially. Just do it once and then just leave it. And then I'd probably build, I'd look to build another 10 to 15 links on top of that. Those would be, guest post homepage links, maybe a few like helper reporter out style links. Those kinds of links, you're realistically, you're going to mostly be doing guest posts for those initial homepage links. Make sure that all your social profiles are linked together and all linking back to your site as well. That's important for when you first start a website. So you've got all those basic core of links going to the homepage. That's just to give you the really like good foundation for a new website.
Do you ever build links to like your social profiles, or what are also known as like kind of like tier 2 links? Like, do you ever do that kind of stuff?
We did a few of them. So for a cryptocurrency blog, we actually did a few of them. It's something which Matt Diggity of Diggity Marketing like strongly recommends, who has built a ton of successful affiliate websites. So can't question his kind of like track record in the affiliate website game. So we have done a bit of that. It's really, really difficult to say whether or not that has an impact. But we did do that for like, so I think we did it for our Facebook and Twitter pages, for totalcrypto.io, which is a cryptocurrency blog. We built links to those pages, which then linked back to the homepage.
Are you So when you're kind of doing these campaigns and stuff like that, obviously I think one thing that kind of stood out was the fact that you built these links and then you kind of measure how your performance is just with the specific action there. Are you using any sort of tool to annotate like charts or anything like that? Is that part of your
Mhm.
business?
Yeah, so we pretty much only use two tools for the tracking side of things. Ahrefs, which is incredible. I'd strongly recommend anyone to use that because it's like the Swiss Army knife for SEO. You can use it for everything, and like don't think of it as a cost. Think of it as an investment. So I'd use Ahrefs, and then also like Search Console, because that gives the most accurate readings of like what people are actually searching and like how they're clicking through to your website. But yeah, Ahrefs is just amazing, like for just getting an overview, and you can see, you can compare things month to month, see where the organic traffic's coming from, even for like each country and stuff. So and it is really like clear and concise. I find Ahrefs. So I pretty much never pay for any other tools, other than like outreach tools.
We had Tim from Ahrefs, Tim Solo from Ahrefs
Oh
on
yeah,
the previous episode before this one, so that one's
yeah.
not out yet.
Ah,
But
cool.
obviously, the people that are listening will, by the time they hear this, they'll be able to listen to that one. How are you using Search Console? I know that people, everyone has their own kind of unique way of setting up stuff in there. So what are you doing that's maybe unique to your business for Search Console, specifically to link building?
So I mean, we do use the funny thing about Search Console. So you can track inbound links using Search Console. But it'll differ from what like Ahrefs tells you. So you'll see a discrepancy. The same is true of like Majestic SEO, which is the other major um, tool which tracks like inbound links to your site. So we do use all three, just kind of measure what links are uh, being indexed by Google. So we do use it in that way. We do use the disavow tool, which isn't technically, I don't think, through Search Console, but it is a Google tool. We use the disavow tool for our own websites as well to disavow certain spammy links that are coming inbound. Now, Google is apparently like way better at recognizing spam links to your site and automatically disavowing those, but we still do it for our own sites and client websites too. Um, you can get links that are unwanted links. People make mistakes. People buy uh, jobs on Fiverr when they shouldn't do, and then they later regret it. So you can disavow the links that way. But from like a kind of traffic perspective, we just track like the traffic over time for each page. So the new Search Console, which they launched recently, is really good for this. Because historically you can look at a page and see how it's gained or lost traffic over time, what the various clicks are, and yeah, it's just good for tracking or measuring traffic changes in that way, which isn't directly related to link building. But if we lose some traffic on a page, we can go back and say, well, we need a couple more links to that page. Maybe we ended a campaign on that page months ago, and now it needs a bit more juice.
Awesome. I think people, thought that I missed it, but I didn't glaze over. It's still in my head. But the question that I want to ask you next is, I think people know that building links to your information pages is significantly easier than building links to your money pages. And even in our conversation off camera, we were talking about building links to money pages. So what kind of strategies, tactics, advice can you share about building some of the hardest links to your site?
Yeah, so I should start by saying that there's pretty much only two ways to build money links. That is by paying someone to add a link to an existing post to your money page or doing a guest post. Those are pretty much the only two pages. There's almost no way you can do an outreach campaign. Like say I had a money article which was the 5 best brands of dog food. There's pretty much no way that I can reach out to 200 pet enthusiast websites or dog enthusiast websites, say, hey, I put together this cool page, and expect any of them to link to it. So for that reason, you can pretty much rule out natural outreach is a way of building links to those pages. I mean, people are just so savvy and intelligent now. Unless they were literally born yesterday, they're not going to link to you. So that only leaves a certain number of options to build links to these money pages, unless you do something like really smart that I'm just not aware of. So guest posting is like I said again, it's just such an easy way to build links to those pages. Obviously you have to do it in a kind of clever way that makes sense, so the editor doesn't say, well, what's this guy doing? But for us, it works. Guest posting absolutely works, and you can pay for links. Like you can do outreach campaigns, to connect with website owners in your niche or industry, and you can pay for links basically. So a lot of people I know will do massive outreach campaigns. And they'll literally just say off the bat, like, I want to offer X amount for a link on your website, like on this page, but they won't specify what their website is. They'll do the outreach first, and then they'll get an agreement in place, and then they'll then they'll do the deal. But they'll reveal what their website is, because you shouldn't really go around saying that I'm such and such from such and such a website, I want to pay for links. Just not good practice. So loads of affiliate website owners can do that as well. If they're happy to do a more black hat approach, they can pay for links. It's not something that we really do much of at all. We just stick to guest posts because it's more of a natural way of doing things, and we've figured out a system to do guest posting at scale. So it's not something we would necessarily use, but really those are your kind of two options if you want to build links into those commercial pages. You can also, if you're doing a guest post campaign, you can get a lot of these like paid link opportunities off the back of that. So let's say you own a pet blog, and it's an affiliate pet blog, and you want to get some links into your money pages. What I would do is I'd set up a guest post campaign, maybe find like 200 relevant sites that are talking about pets. Do your kind of standard outreach, ask to submit a guest post. I would say you'll probably get 30 or 40 responses from people that are saying, okay, like you can do a post, but I want money for it. Well, in that circumstance, you've got two options. You can either pay them and do a guest post, or you can say, let's say they come back to you and say, I want $100. Or you can say, like, listen, I don't want to do a guest post, but I noticed this article on your website that talks about pet brands. Can I just pay you like $30 and like you can just like put a link into that page to my page? So that's like a kind of like cheaper workaround to like lower your costs. It means you don't even have to go and like create content. You can just get a quick link to that page. So that's an option as well. That is an option.
So those links, when you're asking people to just add them into existing content, I think I've heard them mentioned a few times, and I at least in our circles we call them niche edits. I don't know about yourself, but I've always had this thought that I think it's very unnatural to just like add a random link into into a website. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, I mean, people do this, and like I've done it before, and like, I still think it's kind of weird to ask and even get the link back and stuff like that. Yeah. But I just feel like it's abnormal, So how do you kind of get around that? Do you also believe the same thing as me?
I do, but so like you have to be like really careful. You have to really analyze the site in question. You have to find an article where it makes sense. For the most part, you're probably going to have to write a whole new paragraph to insert into that article to make it make sense. A lot of these niche edits, they'll look completely out of place. They'll look completely unnatural. If you use like a niche edit service, they'll look really bad. I wouldn't advise using most of them. So yeah, when we've done it, we've had to take a lot of care to make sure that the paragraph makes sense and the placement of link actually makes sense in the context of things. What I would say is, when you think about it in theory, it's kind of similar to doing a completely white hat natural outreach campaign. Let's say you wrote an article about e-commerce on your website, and I came to you and I had this really sick guide on drop shipping specifically. And I was like, hey, like you wrote this cool article, Kelvin, about e-commerce. why don't you add my like cool drop shipping guide in? Because drop shipping is like a facet of e-commerce that people like to use. I think that might be helpful for your readers. And you're like, oh, awesome, Stuart. I'm going to add that. Like, that's really helpful for my users. You go in and add it. So when you go in and to your backend and add that link, it's a completely natural link. I'm just showing you a piece of content. You're probably going to like rejig a couple things. You might write a little sentence to say like, oh, if you guys want to like read more about e-commerce, check out Stewart's guide on whatever his website is. So that's how I would approach. I'd use the same kind of approach or thinking for this. And you know, you would go back into how would you rewrite the article to include that page in a very natural way. So that's the kind of like thinking that I would take to that. Think of it as almost the same as a natural outreach campaign. But yeah, it's a really good question, and a lot of people don't get that right if they're doing niche edits, which I think is becoming like a bigger thing, kind of a big industry. Yeah.
I'd love to dive in just a little bit more into that too. So, for example, let's say you are in that scenario where you have now spoken to the site owner, and you know, maybe they're open to adding your link to one of these relevant pieces of content, which I think is kind of the first part there. So when you look at this, when you're looking at this article, is there kind of like a framework that you follow or that you'd prefer? Like, would you prefer your links to be, let's say, higher at the top, near the top of the page, if you can get it there? Like, what is there any sort of things like that you hand over to the people that work for you, basically?
Yeah, I would. And we have like we have a little template that we would use to send on to the website owner. I actually think I stole this from as an idea from Matt Diggity, and he actually shows it in one of his trainings anyway. And it's like, so he'll give them like the paragraph of text. It might be an existing paragraph of text if it makes sense. And he'll like highlight the edited words to show, you know, to show the website owner exactly how they should insert the anchor text with the link, and exactly like what the surrounding text is for that. I would try and get it as high as possible, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. You know, like I wouldn't try and shoehorn it in there just for the sake of it. When we're analyzing the page, it's relevant. Do a site search and find the most relevant possible page that you can find. So do a site search on the site. Once you get to the article itself, show them what you want the anchor text to be. Show them what the surrounding text should be. When you're doing these niche edits and stuff, I wouldn't go crazy with like the anchor text. Don't do any exact match anchor text. Basically, that's what I would say. When we've done this, we've done in the past for like some of our own websites, we've done like really just branded anchor text. So, you know, if your site's like the best dog foods, don't make the anchor text best dog foods. Make it natural or like branded. Don't like, you know, I just wouldn't play with fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Let's talk about another unique part of link building, which is what you mentioned, building links at scale. So how does that look for your business, and what does that really mean too? You know, I think a lot of people, what does that mean on your end? I think your end of scale might be different than other folks, which is obviously very helpful.
Yeah, so building links at scale. So obviously, you know, we probably have like 15, 20 active clients plus our own website. So we're building like hundreds and hundreds of links every month. So that is, to be able to do that, we have to create like a process and system. So one of the things we use first and foremost is a tool called Pitchbox, which is like an outreach platform. And that just really is like the most insane CRM you could ever want for like outreach and link building. It's definitely applicable as well to sales, like outbound sales. But just for any like outreach communication, like Pitchbox is incredible. You can, you can set up projects for different websites, set up like different campaigns. You can launch email sequences all at once. So, you know, we use that. We also use tools like Ahrefs. So Ahrefs, the beautiful thing about using Ahrefs and Pitchbox is that, So if you use Ahrefs, right, you can find hundreds of backlink opportunities in like minutes. Like you actually can. So one of the things we might do is if we're promoting a certain piece of content, we'll find another similar piece of content that's ranking really well. And that similar piece of content maybe has like 200 other pages linking to it. So you know that these 200 pages that are linking to this piece of content are probably maybe going to be likely to link to you as well. So you can export that at the click of a button using a tool like Ahrefs, upload it into Pitchbox. And the power of Pitchbox is that it automatically finds like a ton of contact information for you, first names, email addresses, site names, and you can then just, you know, fill in the blanks with your team. So, you know, in a couple of hours, you can have this really like big outreach campaign. Now, obviously, that's simplifying it massively. You need to pay attention. You need to take care of what you're doing. But using tools like that just allow you to scale things up and do things faster than if you were just sitting on Gmail, going on the internet, finding people's like email addresses and just doing it really manually, which is why I think a lot of people hate link building, because it just seems so daunting and like such a big task that they have to spend hours and hours a day on.
So if we were to walk and step ourselves into Ahrefs, what would you do then? Like, what are you looking at different? For example, are you adding in a URL or something like that into Site Explorer? Are you going into the Content Explorer, trying to find other content and finding like like stuff with lots of traffic going to it, and then like what are you filtering by? You know, how does that look and what's the process?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I mean, we kind of use everything that Ahrefs has to offer. They put out a really good blog post recently about the new Content Explorer, and they even have like some of like cool little like search queries that you can use to find certain things. So let's say recently, actually, it was a good example. We had this e-commerce client, and we're promoting an article all about bicycle safety. So they sell bikes on the website. We were like, okay, let's create an article about bicycle safety. So we went into Ahrefs, went into Content Explorer, typed in all the keywords you think about: road safety tips, how to stay safe on your bike, kids safety for riding bikes, which was like a specific sub niche of cycling safety in general. We then find some of the most linked to articles on those topics. So we might find an article that's like a couple years old, which is all about cycling safety. We would then maybe like download the backlink profile for everyone that was linking to that article, because we know that they're going to be pretty likely to link to our article too. And like there you have like hundreds of prospects just there. So that's one way you can do with the Content Explorer. You are going to want to think outside the box a little bit. So our article was about cycling road safety. So we did look at like little like subsections of it, like kids safety for cycling, how they can stay safe. Just like little sub niches, that because we don't want to contact the exact same. This is the typical skyscraper approach, where you're finding articles about the exact same topic and saying my article is better than their article. Whereas you can actually get a little bit creative and say my article is a bit different to their article, but it's still really valuable. So like, can you also like, would you consider linking to me? So very powerful in that sense. We do plug in a lot of URLs directly, just from like, so you can do a Google search. You can see who's ranking at the top of Google for a certain keyword. Say it's like cycling safety. Plug the URL, take the URL from Google, put it into Ahrefs, and then you have, again, like all of this, you can see all of the sites that are linking to that URL. Again, you potentially have a ton of prospects that you can outreach and show your own guide to. So that's how you can use Ahrefs in that way. They also have some amazing new tools they've just launched. Like you can find broken links on websites now using Ahrefs, which is something that you could kind of do before, but not quite as easily. So let's say you typed in like Forbes.com to Ahrefs, use their broken backlinks tool. You could see articles on Ahrefs, articles on Forbes, which maybe have like hundreds of broken links. Now, if you're in a niche that's relevant to Forbes, you could, in theory, recreate that website. You already have the list of 300 sites that were linking to the broken page. and you can just email them all and say, listen, Forbes, for whatever reason, deleted this page. I've got a perfect replacement. Do you guys want to link to me? That's something that we've used ourselves a lot of times, and it works incredibly well. We've got a ton of links that way. So these are the kind of scalable ways of thinking that we can use Ahrefs for, because it literally just allows you to do so much at scale when it comes to prospecting. A lot of people, when they think about prospecting, they think about it in a kind of really manual way of like putting a search operator into Google, like manually scanning it, finding all the best opportunities, which it does work, but it just takes a lot longer. Of course, we still vet like all of our opportunities. We don't just send emails to everyone. We still check it, but it gets us the opportunities in the first place.
That was going to be my next question, actually, was how you determine that. So, if you've ever exported, if you've ever exported these backlinks from any various tool, whether it's Ahrefs or another one, there's just a lot of links. There's like a lot of them. So what do you do to say, okay, this is not appropriate for us to reach out to because of X reason?
Yeah.
What do you do to filter that? Is there another piece of software that you're using to filter that, or is it very manual? Or are you organizing things by DA? I don't know. Like what's going on?
Yeah. So when we take that list, so for us, there is so for people that don't have Pitchbox, there is a tool. It's who created this tool? It was David Farkas, who owns what is his agency again? He owns this public tool, the Upper Ranks. I'll find the link so you can share it when you publish this. It's a really good tool, and it allows you to take a list of URLs and you plug them in, and then you can literally just you can go through, and you can go through and say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and it'll just show you them in a embedded form, like on a web page. So it doesn't mean, so you don't have to like copy and paste, open up a new web browser for each and every URL. You can very quickly just look at the web, scan the page and say, I want that one, I don't want that one. And at the end of the process, it'll filter the list down for you, and it'll give you your finalized list. So that's a pretty cool tool that you can use to speed that up. We use Pitchbox just because we upload everything to Pitchbox, so then we can put it on Pitchbox and say, and it has a tool for personalization. So you can approve, or you can inspect and approve or disapprove websites in a very quick way. So Pitchbox is really good for that as well. But we kind of created our own internal guide so that our employees can determine what makes a good prospect versus a bad prospect. There's certain sites that are just really unlikely to link to you for whatever reason. Let's say you're a real estate company. Well, like other real estate companies probably aren't going to link to you, whereas a real estate blog is far more likely to link to you. So you do need to kind of educate yourselves on that, like educate yourself on what makes a good prospect.
So it's almost like you don't want to be too desperate for links. Is that?
Yeah. You don't want to be too desperate. Yeah. You can, if you want to, you can email everyone in the world and just be prepared for like some rejection. Like it's like if you make a mistake and you're like a real estate company and you end up emailing like a competing real estate company, just obviously you're gonna have to be prepared to take the brunt of that. If you're an agency on behalf of another real estate company like we are, then they're going to probably be pretty annoyed at us for contacting the wrong kind of person. But yeah, don't be too desperate. Don't be too desperate for links.
Awesome. So at this point, it sounds like you are you're uploading these into Pitchbox, but there's that other tool, the Upper Ranks, I think you said, that we'll add to the show notes there. And you're really just visually assessing these websites, like not even like you're not looking at metrics or anything. It's just like what the eyeball says is, I want a link from this site.
Exactly. And if you've been in working online for some time. I mean, there's no way to describe what makes a good site. Like, I could sit with you just now and look at certain sites and say, oh, this is good for this reason, this is bad for this reason. It's such a people just make their own judgment calls. But you get to tell looking at a site, okay, this guy posts like a few times every day. The content and topics, they look really cool. They're relevant for me. And he links out to other sites as well. So he's probably going to be linking out to me. If he doesn't link to anyone else, then yeah, that's a problem right there. But that's why we use Ahrefs to find sites that are likely to link out to other people.
I don't know about you, but I remember the first time when I think I saw a PBN for the first time. And when you see a PBN, you're thinking this is a weird part of the internet. Like, they're still publishing articles, but these articles kind of don't make sense, or like, there's like a foot, the footer is filled with like random links to, all sorts of different places. So, and that's what it means, right? Like, when you're, if you're just kind of doing stuff online, then you'll eventually land on these sites. And, I think that kind of begs us to ask the question that about PBNs themselves. So, do you have any thoughts on PBNs? And those are private blog networks for folks that don't know.
Yeah, so PBNs they're such a funny one, because like they're defined as a network of sites that you would use solely to build links to other websites, and thereby passing the authority on and giving you better rankings. But ultimately, there's still websites. Like, some people like seem to have this thing where like a website is somehow different to a PBN. A PBN is just a website. So if it's done really well, and the PBN site is a good site that gets a lot of traffic and has its own content that's maybe not for just the purpose of sending out links, then it can work. But the problem with PBNs, I think, is that a lot of the time when people are selling links on PBNs, is everyone is using them, and then they get devalued quickly. They get penalized by Google, and Google is probably better at detecting them than they used to be now. So, but in theory, it can be amazing if it's an amazing content-based site. Maybe you've got your own private website that you bought of someone else in a certain niche. I've seen it before. I've seen people who've like bought websites only because it ranks well in their niche or industry, and they buy it, and they just like they'll put tons of links to their own main site. They'll put like commercial, like affiliate links back to their own main site, things like that. So those are instances when PBNs can work. What I would say is just be careful if you're buying PBNs, because they'll probably get overused to death and they'll be obvious. But like, yeah, PBN is just like, if you get a link from PBN, it's still a link. It's a link from a website. So you shouldn't think that PBN is better than a link from like another website just because it's called a PBN. So just be careful. Use tools like Ahrefs to vet any website that you're getting a link on. Does it have organic traffic? How many outbound links does it have? If it's got like thousands of outbound links versus inbound links, then there's something obviously wrong with it. Just be sensible. But I'm not like a snob when it comes to PBNs. I think they can be extremely powerful. Another problem is if you're buying PBN links, it can be really, really expensive. Like, I've seen some pricing of PBN links that are getting sold, and like maybe between like $20 and $50 a month, which is insane if you're an affiliate website to pay that for one single link. Just like hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year just to maintain a link. So I personally would just go after like permanent links on real websites.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense too. What I want to actually ask you about different scenarios. I think that'll be really interesting for folks. Do you have any scenarios and stories, kind of like link building stories that you can share that, kind of, maybe let's say didn't look like they were going to go well, and then all of a sudden they did, somebody's reaching out, they say no, somehow you've convinced them that, of some sort of alternative or something like that. Do you have any interesting stories like that?
I'm trying to think of a specific example like that. I mean, we do have like, if people reject us for whatever reason, we do have like some little like tricks we'll use, like to try and convince that person why they should, maybe continue talking to us and eventually link to us. I mean, maybe I don't have a specific story in that sense, but we have like tried some link building strategies that we didn't know if they would work at all or not, and they did work. So I'll just give you one that's an interesting example. So we had like an e-commerce client, and they sold like men's suspenders, like fashion, like suspenders. And we're like, how the heck are we going to build links for these guys? Like, oh, this is going to be so hard. And we decided, okay, we're going to create our own award like on the site. So we created this award. It was like, I think it was like the top blogs for men. So, and it just had like random stuff in there, like cycling blogs, car blogs, like whiskey blogs, like random stuff that men might like. And we paid this graphic designer to create this cool little badge. And it was like, oh, you are the such and such top blogs for men. You've made it on the list. And then we went and reached out to all the sites that we included on the list. And we're like, hey, like you made it. You made the big time. You're on the list. And here's this cool badge. Like you can share it on your website. And I'm not even joking. I think we put 100 and something sites on the list. And I think we got like 25 links, which was insane. And a lot of the links were even from the homepage, because the person like put the badge on their homepage. So homepage links even more powerful than an internal page link. So that did really well. And I actually think it like, I don't know just now, but it was ranking like number 1 or 2 for like top blogs for men. Probably isn't now, but it's probably still like top 15. So that was like a situation where you're just kind of feeding someone's ego and giving you are giving the other person some value, but it worked out really well, and we got a ton of links. So you do have to think about link building as like, what is this person going to get out of the relationship? Sometimes you can't just ask them to link to you, because out of the goodness of your own heart, if you've got a great social channel, do that. You can like say, okay, I'll give you a shout out on social. I'll share your articles for the next 3 weeks on my Twitter or Facebook. We actually had a couple of clients that did insanely well doing that, because they had big Facebook or Pinterest channels. Pinterest is a huge traffic driver. So if you've got assets like that, then leverage them for links. Yeah, so that kind of thing. Myself, like when we've done link building for our own websites, obviously we came to you guys with that kind of creative approach, but you can talk to people, and you can do outreach to like even ask people to be on their podcast, for example. We've done that in certain industries, or like get interviews with certain people. Ask business leaders for interviews. We'll say, can I interview about such and such? Afterwards, send the interview, ask them to link to you. So you do have to think about it from other people's perspective, because it is kind of a psychology thing. At the end of the day, you're emailing people. That's really what a lot of link building is. You're communicating with people.
Mm-hmm. I only really have 2 more questions for you. Cool. The first one is, do you have any tips specifically for subject lines?
For subject lines, so subject lines, we usually add some form of personalization to subject lines. So we'll do that through Pitchbox. So the website's name or the person's first name, we usually do that. So say it's a guest post, I might write like Maria, rest those weary hands. Like I'm going to write for you. It's okay. Or like, Maria, would you be interested in this, with like a little question mark? Because like if you flip open your phone and see that, or like you get notifications on your phone, like you're probably gonna look at it if your name is involved. So I would say that's a good one, like the person's first name, subject line. Yeah, don't make it too short. Don't make it like can I guest post on your site? Like just don't do that. Make it like conversational, natural. Is if you were sending an email to a friend, what would you do? Question marks can work pretty well. If you're promoting a piece of content, again, use the person's first name or site. Say, I've got this cool study on such and such for Maria, or for this website. Can you check it out? when we're doing follow-ups, we'll usually, we'll just keep the same subject line. We'll probably follow up like 4 days after. And when you're in the follow-up, we do it automatically, but we'll have like, the email chain belowhand, and, we'll usually say something like, hey, just following up, like, I'm a real person, by the way, like, did you see what I said? Like, can you get back to me? Just something natural. We also include, you can use this with like most outreach tools, but you can include like the day of the week automatically on your, you can merge in the day of the week. So it's just a clever thing. It's like, hope you're doing well, like this Friday or Monday or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, like, yeah, thanks for asking. Like, I am doing well. Just these little things that, can get people to actually like feel like you're a real person, or feel like they're not talking to just a robot that just wants a link. That'd
Awesome.
be my advice.
Awesome. Yeah, the weekday one, I was thinking, wow, that makes a lot of sense, and it's really interesting. You just add like a little short code in there, and you can send out. Those are good tricks there. Well, Stewart, that's kind of, that's all the questions I have. The only question I had that was last was just if you have any other things that you want to leave to the Human Proof Designs audience.
Yeah, I would just say, what would I say for the Human Designs audience? Yeah, like when it comes to link building, learn as much as you can. There's so much good content out there. You've got like the Backlinko content, the Ahrefs content is amazing. I'm sure like the interview you've got coming up with Ahrefs. Just learn as much as you can, and like when you're trying link building, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just put yourself out there, try different things. If you get lots of like bad responses, like don't worry about it. Just change and like try things again. And try and find ways to try and find like shortcuts to do things a little bit at scale. But make sure you do things with a bit of quality, because you're going to get responses that way. Don't just send 1,000 emails with like no quality or content within them. It's not going to work. But just learn and read articles and watch case studies. There's amazing content out there. So I just educate yourself as much as possible, and then just go and just try it. Just try link building, because even if you end up outsourcing it, having that like base knowledge of like kind of how to do it and what to look for is just going to give you like a good education. Even if you're paying someone else to do it for you.
Awesome stuff. Well, Stewart, it was a pleasure talking to you all about link building and talking to someone who really thinks about this stuff all day long. I'm sure you probably have dreams about link building.
We do. We think about it a lot, and like our team does as well. Like we've got an amazing team who they're all like always coming up with cool ideas and creative ideas. So it's fun. It's fun though. It is interesting. It's fun. So, but thanks for having me. And I hope that people got some ideas or inspiration out of this, and hopefully they can use them in their own businesses.
Yeah. So guys, I mean, if you're interested in knowing what a link building team looks like, you can go to linkbuilder.io. The one thing I was amazed by was just that he has a lot of people who just really think about this stuff. I think their titles are officially link building strategists. Yeah, exactly. So, well, guys, we'll catch everybody next week for another episode of the Human Proof Designs podcast. See you later, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.